Hello and welcome to Business Sense. I'm Ralph Rivas. For today's episode, we have Christian Reyes, Managing Director for HP and the Philippines. Ian, thanks so much for joining us. Kumusta? And what's keeping you busy? And how is HP Philippines so far?
Hi, Ralph. Hello again. Good to see you. I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well as well. Keeping me busy. I think a lot of things. I think in this era of hybrid work, right? It's always right. How do you balance again your work life integration? Doing online meetings like this, going face to face, meeting other people, and then also balancing spending time with family. It keeps me busy all the time, but it's always fulfilling. And HP Philippines is, I think doing pretty well, right? And I think it's a good place where to share later. A lot of employees are proud to work for.
Mm. Now, first off, the future of work. Uh, Many say it's going to be hybrid forever, or lots of variations. Like lately, I have friends na twice a week nag-office, and then the rest of the 3 days are at home. So, what's your outlook, and how's that shaping your business, your strategies, and the workplace in HP?
Yeah. Well, one of the trends that we're seeing is obviously that hybrid is becoming has been essential, right? And the home office setup that we had to scramble towards during the pandemic. Set up a home office here a bit temporarily and see how things goes. We've also found that that essentially will shift to a more organized, well-equipped hybrid work environment. And employees, just like you and me, right? We've adopted pretty well. We have a home office setup, and then we're also used to going to the office, balancing these demands. But very important is that with a very agile nature of work, you can take calls here, take video calls face to face. It's important to provide our employees or workers, right, with the right technology tools to adopt to this work environment. And at HP, we try to continue to innovate to make sure that our products and our services create and support creative and collaborative environments. So, for example, some of our laptops are equipped with AI, artificial intelligence, to be able to filter out background noise, especially with like what you mentioned, some of your friends, some of my friends too. Spend time in the office, spend time at home, or even spend time in a coffee shop to have all the Zoom calls, right? And having technology such as AI to block out background noise really helps in all those calls. Even in print, right? We provide managed print services for a lot of our customers to provide them that seamless and secure experience. And with hybrid, there's always this drive. I'm sure you've heard it. This drive for productivity, and we believe that especially with PCs, core business of HP, that PC and print is actually at the very heart of hybrid. With the right technology and tools and services, it really helps our workers and our employees to become even more productive.
Mhm. Now, let me just go back to your point earlier about AI able to cancel out the noise. Kasi I don't know if you've seen it, but there have been viral videos of, call center agents, tapos they're talking to their clients, and then suddenly may chicken noises, or, parang may mga nag-uusap na mga, or even especially now sa schools, 'di ba? Parang although there's a push for 100% face to face, may hybrid aspect pa rin, and it's likely going to happen if cases go up again, 'di ba? Parang we'll go back to a hybrid setup. So tell us more about this AI. What's the end goal? Totally no noise, or ano bang
Well,
what
yeah,
can what's tech doing now, and what can it do in the future?
yeah. So we believe, right, to have a very collaborative and more productive experience, especially with all the online calls. The experience with the person that you're meeting with has to obviously look very professional. And like what you mentioned, right? If there's you're talking to somebody and there's a rooster crowing or a dog barking, right? It obviously diminishes the experience, and that is why it is important to have the right technology and tools, right? It's not enough to just have any PC, but to have the right PC with the right technologies. So we do have AI in some of our laptops that filter out that background noise. It also some of our laptops also adjust the lighting and the glare, so it makes you look even more professional to the person that you're talking to. But I
Mm.
mean, I guess I'll also pivot, right? And back to your point that hybrid work, and it is, all the narratives, especially coming out of the pandemic, talked about hybrid work, and it is we believe it is here to stay. And even in HP Philippines, we've already adopted hybrid work before. But also, aside from the technology and the tools to provide our employees, it is also very important to make sure that you also foster the right culture in the organization. Because employees, right? Some employees may have been in some organizations may have been used to hybrid, some are not. But again, it's important to have every single employee know what's important in the organization to make hybrid work. For HP Philippines, we empower our employees to make sure that they're able to build resilience, because in the face of ongoing uncertainty, and as you mentioned, is it we face to face, even at work, right? It's very important to build that resilience. And as you build that resilience, also important that for our employees to make sure that they also take charge of their career, right? And it also involves, again, knowing how trends are and what they need to do to upskill. And also, last is we encourage our employees to have an enterprise mindset, right? And this in the hybrid work, very important to be able to learn, upskill, but at the same time, think like an entrepreneur. If you're your business, what is the right business decision to do, and what's the right path to take? And thankfully, with the culture we've been able to drive, and as you mentioned earlier, is that HP Philippines is a great place to work certified company. In in this year, actually, we were able to receive the top 5 out of 25 great place to work companies in the Philippines. And according to the survey, 99% of HP Philippines employees are proud to work for HP.
Yeah, so I suppose you were able to crack the code in keeping employees engaged. Kasi, I don't know, for the rest of the world, there's lots of discussions about the so-called Great Resignation.
Yes.
Philippines, meron ding ganon kasi workers preferring or finding better opportunities because of hybrid work. So tell me, Ian, what's your secret? How do you keep your employees?
Oh, I wouldn't. There's not secret. No, I do think it. I think every single employee plays a key part in it, and together with the rest of the leaders of HP Philippines and even in the region. I think one of the things that really came out during the pandemic is our focus on employee safety and care. We wanted to make sure that they are, again, safe. If not needed, I mean, don't go to the office until we're very sure and all the health protocols were followed. We provided care kits to our employees, and we even provided a lot of support even for their mental well-being. So I think one is really to be able to care for employees during these very tough times when everybody's isolated, and facing that the dread of going out and getting infected. I think that helped. Right? The care came out, and employees appreciated it. But at the same time, it's also engagement, and I'm sure a lot of companies did. But for us, we're very intentional about having our monthly employee connect session, where we gather employees and just talk a bit of business, but talk about other things. Talk about somebody talked about plans, talked about hobbies. So again, it's really care and engagement, continuous intentionality for that.
Mm. Now, okay, shifting from another topic, no. Now let's talk about cybersecurity. Now, that's also a great concern with amid this hybrid setup. lots of threats, especially with tech. Somebody's gonna be bound to get hacked one. I mean, di ba? Parang it's always a ano eh, ang tawag dito. Parang it's always gonna be there. Parang we're unlikely to totally block threats in terms of cybersecurity. So, can you tell us more about cybersecurity and how do we deal with this?
Well, we believe that identity and cybersecurity automation is very essential, especially in the face of surging cyber attacks. And we've seen and we've read during the pandemic all the narratives of how cyber attacks had been exponential during the pandemic, especially as a lot of workers and employees had to either work from home and eventually do hybrid work. What that essentially meant was that a lot of the employee PCs, right, were working out of their corporate network. A lot of organizations had to adopt, and that created a lot of vulnerabilities. And even as simple as an innocuous email coming in, employee work from home, it says, click here for a free 1,000 peso voucher, right? And it looks legit. You click it, and before you know it, it downloads malware without you knowing it. So cybersecurity is essential, and cyber attacks will continue to evolve. So for us, it is very important to provide our, our customers and even our employees with the right endpoint devices. For some of our PCs, we do have what we call the HP Wolf Security. It's a portfolio of security services. It's actually hardware enhanced security software and services. So a lot of companies do believe that all you need is either a very strong network security protocol or an antivirus in your laptop, and you're secure. But again, a lot of the CISOs now and are realizing that endpoints are very, very vulnerable. And it's not just software that's important, but also, as I mentioned, hardware-based security. So it's not just any other device, but having a hardware-based security chip helps provide that security. And another interesting point, Ralph, is that again, in the realm of PC and even print, right? A lot of organizations don't realize that printers can also be subject to cyber attack, because not many organizations realize that an office printer is actually very similar to a PC. It's connected to a network. It has a hard drive, and it has a BIOS, right? So the way cyber attackers can attack a PC inside a network is the same vulnerability for a printer. So even our office printers, some of our office printers, have the same or similar security features that our PCs have.
Okay, now that's scary. No, Ian. So, pagdating sa, I'm just curious, what do hackers get in from hacking a printer? Do they print, I don't know, some malicious text, or are they able to get data from it?
They're able to get data, right? So a printer inside the
Like,
network is an endpoint into the network,
okay,
right?
so for
So
instance, I print a very sensitive document and the printer is vulnerable, so hackers can get that?
yeah, absolutely, right? Because right, again, it is connected to a network, and if somebody can come in, right, they're able to right penetrate and get data, just like the way that you would get or hack data from a PC. So that's why it's a very interesting right, idea or concept. But again, it's an office printer and a PC are very similar, connected to the network, has a hard drive, and has a BIOS.
Mm. And so far during this pandemic, or I don't know if you have done studies or your own observations, anong pinaka-common so far na mga types of attacks, and where are the vulnerabilities? Ano bang
Yeah.
saan ba yung pinaka-exposed? Is it the office network, or does it come from employees clicking on links or something like that?
you kind of hit it there because right, it really is the endpoint, right? I guess in organizations we've grown to make sure that we have a very robust IT security network and protocols, but it's always the endpoint that's always left out. And what we've based on studies and all the narratives out there about cyber attacks, especially during the pandemic, is that usually let's say the weakest link could also be the employee because again, no matter how much information you share or protocols you share, sometimes right it could be as simple as an email and my free voucher to this online platform. Just click here, you have 1,000 pesos, right? And that essentially is a very common occurrence.
So how do we? I mean, I suppose you educate the users not to click on any suspicious links,
Correct.
and of course you double down on that with
Yeah.
text. You know?
Correct. So actually, you hit a very good point. Like even for HP itself, we do have cybersecurity certification every year, and we do all these, I guess, a gamified version of all these scenarios where exactly your point, right? If email comes in, you click it or not. So it's really educating the employees, but to complement that, it is important to have the right technology and tools because
Mm,
as we know and read, right, a cyber attack will result in significant financial impact. It will obviously have an impact in business community continuity, and obviously the loss of reputation. It also resounds in your customers' minds when they know that for example, the company or the bank that they've been working with has been attacked.
so Ian, we were able to briefly talk about printers earlier, but I want to ask, what's the future of print in this highly digitized world? I mean, I can't remember the last time I printed a photo. And for instance, recent experience, no? When you go to the airport, for instance, way before you need to print the ticket, but now you just show it, just show your phone, diba? And parang everything's there. Even I mean, everyone wants to save on paper. So what's the future of print?
Well, while there is a trend of things going digital, we also see that a lot of organizations still have printed documents as an important part of their workflows, especially if these are very important documents, such as maybe in the legal field. So providing a seamless, simple, and secure printing experience for creative or even mission critical workflows is still what we believe will continue. So organizations will continue to print. We'll see a lot of. We still continue to see a lot of workflows and processes internally for a lot of organizations, especially in let's say countries or areas where, for example, broadband connectivity is not so good, right? And as mentioned earlier, as a technology company, we need to make sure that our customers, right, given the fact that print is an essential part of their business, we provide them with the right technology, the right secure printers, like what I mentioned earlier. But also, we also continue to drive innovation in printing, such as for home printers, we have what we call the HP Smart app, which is a app on your phone where you can print from anywhere, print your documents, print your photos anywhere using your phone, right? And back to your point, like I know there's always this we've all gotten used to a narrative of all of our photos are in our phones, right? And we probably have hundreds, and just like me, but it's different. There's some very important photos. Back in our living room, we actually printed very important photos, and it's actually very different holding and seeing the tactile feel of your daughter's photo. I mean, you brought it up, and coincidentally, right here on my desk, I actually have a photo of my daughter, and then I printed it months ago. It's pasted here by my by my wall, and it's actually different to see a an actual photo of of your daughter. So we do have that HP Smart Hub. In terms of innovations, also we've launched the HP Easy Ink in the Philippines. It is the first ink subscription in the Philippines. So subscribers or users will be alerted when their ink cartridges are low, and they can order ink cartridges, and that will be sent to their doorstep without them having to go out and buy ink. Also, and back to the relevance of print, one of the things that is overlooked is really the power of print in in education and in children's learning. According to our HP's Power of Print survey, children and parents both find learning more fun with printed materials. So things that are creative, like my daughter. Back to my daughter again. She loves, I think, like many little girls, loves unicorns and loves princesses. And we have HP printables where you can go download coloring activities, activity books, and it's different. It's different to see your daughter or your son watching a video on their laptop versus getting the crayons and their pen and their glittered pens, coloring a princess or a unicorn, and you see that the creativity continues to flow, right? And also, last, right, back to, right, is print relevant? And in fact, right, according to a study by DepEd, especially for distant learning, right, printed materials is the best medium, especially if we're talking about addressing digital equity and driving education and learning in remote areas. So in fact, last year we partnered with NGOs such as Tidy Foundation, where we donated printers, and they sent these printers to remote areas, and they use these printers to print, in the schools and the communities, to print the learning modules and the learning kits for the students in that community. And that helped, again, especially during the pandemic. There was no face-to-face, children were at home. Having all these modules and kits really helped.
Mm. Now, balikan ko lang yung binanggit mo kanina on ink subscription. Kasi that's, I don't hear that a lot, although although it's here, the service has been here, right? So, and it has a lot of implications when it comes to sustainability. So, can you discuss more about that? How a subscription is sustainable and to an extent helps the environment?
Yeah, so I think one is that it saves on, if you again, sometimes, especially for education and learning, for for school, right? When you need to print some activities, some homework for your kids, and you run out of ink, you do sometimes just have to head out, go to a mall, brave through traffic, spend a couple of hours, again, burn fuel, park, buy the cartridge, bright ink cartridge, and go back home, right? So the amount of energy that you use, right, gets consumed. But with the HP Easy Ink, you're alerted when your printer ink is low, and it just gets delivered to you in a more efficient way. And back to printing also, part of our sustainable impact vision as well is to make sure that we do our part in helping make a better planet. So in the Philippines, we have what we call the HP Planet Partner Program, where we have our managed print service customers. We pick up the used toners and send them for recycling, and that helps prevent those toner cartridges from going into landfill. And recently, also, we launched what we call the HP Supplies Impact Program, where we partner with a local foundation, and for every 30 cartridges that we collect and recycle, we plant a tree.
So I guess I'd like to close this interview with sustainability efforts. Kasi especially this pandemic, I think we've learned a very hard lesson, di ba? Of taking care of the environment because it affects everything from health to business, basically everything. So, what's HP doing to help and be part of the sustainability effort?
Yeah, we believe tech for good is no longer a luxury but an imperative. So we have a HP Sustainable Impact Vision, which is to be the most just and sustainable technology company by 2030. And this vision of ours has three pillars, which is the planet, people, and community. On planet, it really is about our climate action to drive a net zero carbon and fully regenerative circular economy. And what this essentially means is that, for example, HP has pledged that 75% of our product packaging and products and packaging by weight. By 2030, 75% of that will come from either recyclable or renewed materials. And we recently launched the HP Elite Dragonfly and HP ZBook Studio, which is the world's first notebook and mobile workstation that is made with ocean-bound plastics. We are also another pillar of ours is again the recycling, and I did mention that we have the HP Planet Partner Program where we collect cartridges for recycling instead of preventing them from and prevents them from getting into landfill. We have the Supplies Impact Program where we also plant trees for every 30 cartridges we collect. So that's on the planet side. But on people, for us, it's very important to have diversity, equity, and inclusion in as part of our culture. We are the first Fortune 100 company to pledge gender equality in leadership positions, 50-50 male female by 2030. And in HP Philippines, we drive a lot of gender equality and diversity. So we have programs like the Women's Impact Network, which is an employee-run business network where female employees run programs and get together and help them and encourage them in terms of providing skills and career to help women advance in their career and their roles. We also have in the region what we call the Women in Leadership Lab, where selected, talented female talents get to go through all these training programs and get more engagement with the regional leadership team. And back to HP Philippines, we also have what we call the Next Gen Business Impact Network, which promotes inclusion across culture, backgrounds, and generations. So that's on people. But for us also is that on the community, we want to be able to address the digital divide and address digital equity for 150 million people by 2030, and that's across the globe. And in the Philippines, this is where the employees have been, I think, really been motivated. We've partnered with NGOs like Childhood Philippines. We provided equipment, PCs and printers and funding to support their Calle Escuela program, which is a program where they have vans roving and have education and classes with street children. And every year we have 40 days of doing good, where our employees actively volunteer to share their skills and career advice to either some of the students or some of the teachers. And mentioned that we partnered with also a Tidy Foundation, where we sent printers to very remote areas to help the communities print the learning modules. We're also partnering with them for a new initiative, which is we're going to send printed learning kits that focus on creativity and mental well-being to communities in Guimaras, in Sagada, again, to just really help children and empower their education and learning.
Mm. And on that note, thanks so much, Christian Reyes, Managing Director for HP Inc. in the Philippines. And this has been another episode of Business Sense. I'm Ralph Rivas. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.